I have a lot of opinions, but I will say a lot of them are pretty boring, pretty standard, pretty popular. Like, for example, The Office is a phenomenal TV show, and The Beatles is one of my favorite bands. But who cares about that? You don't want to hear about that. That's boring. Luckily, I also have a lot of unpopular opinions. And every once in a while, I like to sit down and share some of them with you all. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. This is, I believe, the third installment of Emma's unpopular opinions. So without further ado, let's begin, I guess. This episode is presented to you by eBay. We all have that piece. You know the one. The thing that's so you've basically become known for it. And if you don't have yours yet, you'll find it on eBay. Let me put you on, people. eBay is where you'll find those one-of-a-kind, can't stop researching, stay up dreaming about pieces again and again. I'm talking about that off-the-runway red leather bomber you've had your eye on, the trendy top with the cowboy on it, or that sleek fleece from the 2017 colorway. All of these finds are on eBay, and they even offer millions of main character pieces backed by authenticity guarantee. eBay is the place for pre-loved and vintage fashion. eBay. Things people love. Starting with, I like watching TV commercials. I know, it's weird. I feel like most people, when watching classic television, like cable television, get a commercial and change the channel. Now, listen, I also know that classic cable television is sort of outdated these days. Most of us are watching stuff on streaming services. But there are these moments where it makes sense to watch cable television. Maybe you're visiting your grandma, you're staying at her house, and all she has is cable television. Maybe you're staying at a hotel. All they have on the TV is cable television. Maybe it's what the fuck's it called? The football game? The big one? The Super Bowl. Maybe it's the Super Bowl. You're watching TV. Maybe it's, I don't know, what's another? The Oscars. I think that's on cable TV. Whatever. There are times in life when we watch cable television. It's less frequent than when we were younger, but it still happens sometimes. Most people that I know hate the commercials. I mean, I will say they happen way too frequently. It's kind of wild how frequent a commercial break is on cable television. Most people hate it. Most people start surfing through other channels the second a commercial comes on. I don't want to do that. I like the commercials. I want to see the new Arby's sandwich. I want to see the latest Zara campaign commercial. I want to watch the pharmaceutical commercial about a random, very niche medication. Like, I want to watch that. I don't know why, but I do. I find it weirdly entertaining. Oh my God. Speaking of that, I don't even know what it's called. Is it QVC? Wait, what is it called? QVC. I have to Google it because I literally can't remember. Yeah, wait. QVC is an American free-to-air television network and a flagship shopping channel specializing in televised home shopping. Okay, it's like the channel where it's basically just advertisements the whole time. It's like people talking about a product. That's the whole station. You know QVC. Maybe you don't. If you're younger, you might not. It's literally an entire channel where there'll be one 20-minute segment of somebody showing how amazing a particular dish rag is. Like, it's amazing at soaking up every single kitchen spill you could ever imagine. And then the next installment is some like woman talking about this amazing skincare and bringing in a scientist and being like, it changes your skin from the inside out. Like, whatever. I love that shit. I think this is making me realize I just like I like marketing. I like seeing how brands, companies choose to market themselves. I might not necessarily like it. In fact, it's even better if I don't like it. It's even more interesting if I don't like it. I love watching an ad that I think is bad. Like, I find it funny. I find it entertaining. If it's a good ad, I'm like, wow, that's cool. That's impressive. Good for them. Good for them that they came up with that. There's just something about TV commercials that I like. I will say though, I even kind of like Instagram ads, to be honest. I think it's kind of, again, entertaining. Or Pinterest ads. I think it's interesting. A lot of people are annoyed by them for whatever reason. I find it interesting. I find it entertaining. And I think that that's an unpopular opinion. I think most people don't like to be sold to, which I understand that too. But I don't feel like I'm being sold to, really. Because majority of the time, the TV commercial I'm watching, the QVC segment that I'm watching on the very rare occasion that that's on the television. I don't even know if it still exists, but I think it does because I saw it within the last few years. Even the Instagram ad, like I know it's an ad. And I mean, Instagram, those ads are definitely more targeted. The other ones are not. They rarely apply to me. It's more just kind of weirdly entertaining. Instagram ads are more targeted, but I still know that they're an ad and I'm not like, I don't feel like I'm that susceptible to them. It doesn't bother me in that way. And again, they can be entertaining. So I don't know. This started as me saying I like TV commercials and then it really just expanded into a whole other thing. But it doesn't bother me and I even find it entertaining. Okay, moving on. This next one's going to be a little controversial. There's a huge debate about what city is better, Los Angeles or New York. Now, I think the simple answer is neither is better. It's just true. Neither is better. There is no better city. Now, that's already an unpopular opinion because a lot of people, especially people who live in LA or live in New York, have a very strong opinion about which is better. So that's already an unpopular opinion in itself. But I don't think that either one is better. I think they're very different. I think they both have their strengths and their weaknesses. And, you know, there was a long period of time where I actually thought New York was the better city, even though I lived in Los Angeles. I was like, oh, I wish I lived in New York. It's so much cooler. It's so much more fun. There's so much more going on. Like, it's so much more exciting. You can walk. Like, it's just so much better. I wish I lived there. There was a long time where I wished I lived in New York. But after many years of living in LA and visiting New York, I've come to my own conclusion. And I think by nature it's unpopular because I think any opinion in this debate, LA versus New York, is going to be unpopular because everyone has such strong opinions. Here's my opinion. I think living in LA is better and visiting New York is better. Meaning, I think visiting New York is more enjoyable than visiting LA as a traveler. I think living in LA is better than living in New York full time. Let me explain. Visiting New York is so exciting. It is so fun. It is so energetic. It's so lively. It is wonderful. I love visiting New York. There's always something to do. Things are open late. There's a convenience to being in New York. Like if you're walking down the street and all of a sudden you're like, ooh, I really want a bottle of water. You can pop into a little store at any given moment and get that. If you're like, oh, I have a headache, I need a Tylenol, pop into a store in New York. It's much more social, I would say, because it's a walking city and it's a very communal city. So you see more people, you talk to more people. That's really wonderful. It's a great city. There's so much going on. There's so much to experience. There's so many different types of people. It's great. However, living there, I think for me personally, would be a little bit too exhausting, to be honest, for a few reasons. Number one, it's very loud and a bit cramped. Like, I've obviously never lived in New York. I can't really say for sure, but I mean, staying at a hotel is somewhat similar to living in a New York apartment. I mean, it's different because you can order room service, I guess, but you know what I'm saying? It's like a similar living style. You're living in a confined space in a building in New York, you know? That's a little bit exhausting. Being in a very confined space in the middle of a very loud city, that's very fatiguing. Also, being around people all the time is kind of fatiguing. There are times when I just want to go to the grocery store and it be chill. But New York is packed and it's busy. And if you want to go to the grocery store, you have to walk there and you're going to pass a bunch of people on the way there. And then when you get into the store, it's super busy and you're around a bunch of people. Nothing's chill. No, like there's no chill little errand in New York. You know, it's like if you just want to go on a little stroll in the middle of the afternoon and just like calm your mind, it's harder to do that in New York because it's very busy. It's very compact. There's a lot of people. Also, I love driving. Like I like getting in my car and going to a place. And in New York, that is not easy. Most people are getting around, walking on the subway. And again, there's a lot of value to that as well. That's really fun, communal. I love being on foot, but all the time, I prefer, I think, driving. It's also very disconnected from nature in New York. it's very much a city and you're kind of stuck there, it feels like. You know, you have to make a really solid effort to experience a different sort of vibe. If you want to have a beach day, like a really relaxing beach day, takes a lot of effort. If you want to go for a hike, takes a lot of effort. So that's sort of how I feel about New York. Now with LA, I think LA is horrible to visit. If I didn't live here, I would never visit here. Because number one, it's hard to get around. The city is so spread out that, I don't know, they're like little pockets with a decent amount of stuff to do. But a lot of times if you're visiting here, like staying in one area would maybe be a little bit boring. You'd want to bounce around to different areas of LA. But to do that, you need to have a car. And that's kind of shitty, to be honest. Like when I'm visiting somewhere, I don't want to have to take a car around. I want to be able to walk everywhere. That's my ideal travel destination. And LA is not great for that. Also, I mean, I do think visiting LA, like if you want to do, I don't know, like if you want to do like a bougie like trip to Beverly Hills, I guess you could like spend a few days there and have fun. But to be honest, I don't know. I just don't think LA is a great tourist destination. Whereas I think it's a much better place to live. It's much more spread out. You can find a more spacious, less cramped place to live much easier. I mean, depending on where you are. There's a lot of quiet, very tranquil pockets of LA. Also, you're very close to a bunch of different types of nature. If you want to go on a hike, there's a bunch of hikes here very close by. If you want to go to the beach, you're very close to the beach. And because it's a driving city, it's easier to drive out of Los Angeles than it is to drive out of New York, I feel like. In my opinion, in my experience, okay? I don't know. I think it's a better home base for me. That's how I feel. I feel like I'm able to really experience peace in Los Angeles in a way that I don't think I could in New York. Like the grocery stores aren't that busy, you know? I mean, again, it depends on where you're at in LA, but because it's so big, there are a lot more choices. I don't know, it's just more relaxed, which makes it a bit more boring, but that's actually not a bad thing because when I'm in Los Angeles, for the most part, I'm working. It's okay that it's boring because I need to be at home and working on stuff. But that's why New York is such a great place to visit because it's more exciting and I can enjoy the excitement. And then I go back home to LA and I focus. It's easier to focus, I think, here because you can't just walk out your front door and then like walk around in this bustling city as much in LA. I mean, again, depending on where you live, you might be able to experience that a little bit more, but that it doesn't exist here in LA in the same way that it does in New York. Listen, who knows? I might move to New York for like a year one day. Maybe, but the older I get, the more I realize I think that LA is a wonderful home base and I prefer to just visit New York, even though I absolutely love it. But I will say it's so funny because every time I'm in New York, everybody's like, you should live here. Why do you live in LA? LA is so much worse. But I really do think that for home base, I like LA better. That's my opinion. Moving on. This next one is also very controversial. I think, and I've actually brought up this unpopular opinion before in a trendy or timeless episode. Actually, the last trendy or timeless episode I did, the most recent one. I think the Labubu, you know the Labubu? Do you? Do you know the Labubu? I know you do. Okay. I think the Labubu is a genuinely cool, artistic design. Like, I think that the Labubus, remove the culture from it all. Remove the obsession that everyone has with them. No. If you just look at it as for what it is, I think it is a genuinely cool product. And I thought that from the second I saw it. I was like, oh, I really think that's cute, actually. Do I own one? No, I don't own one because I don't need to have one. But I saw it and I was like, oh, that's a cool design. It's really cool. And I even said in the Trendy or Timeless episode, which in that episode I talk about trends and discuss if they're trendy or they're timeless. I said that I actually think the Labubu is timeless. Now, this was very controversial, understandably so, because the culture around it is really extreme, right? People are buying way too many Labubus, trying to collect every single color, every single kind. They're sort of taking over like in a way that's just, I don't know, kind of like toxic in a weird way. It's like an obsession, which I think that element is a fad. You know, like the obsession with collecting every single Labubu, I think is a fad, obviously. I think the prominence of the Labubu as a fad. Like, not everyone's going to have a Labubu in a few years, but I think that the design of the Labubu itself is timeless in a weird way because it's so specific and it's really well done. Like, they're really unique. They're really cool. I actually think they're artistic. They feel like a little artistic little stuffed animal. And I thought that from the moment I saw them. But my belief about the Labubu, that they're actually a timeless design, was further solidified when I looked up the backstory, which I will Google again with you. So let me give you a brief history of the Labubu. The Labubu originates from artist, I'm going to fuck up the name, and I'm so sorry, Casing Lung's 2015 illustrated book series, The Monsters, inspired by Nordic folklore and elvish tales. These mischievous, good-hearted elf-like creatures are a part of a wider tribe, including Zimomo and Taikoko. The characters gained worldwide popularity after being featured as a collectible toy by Chinese company Pop Mart in 2019, becoming a viral trend. See, I knew when I saw the Labubu, okay, that an artist created the Labubu. I knew it because it looked artistic to me. It's so special and so cute, but so creepy at the same time. It's a cool design. And, it became this viral craze of like, everybody needs to collect the Labubu. And the culture around it sort of erased the backstory of like where the Labubu even came from. I didn't know where the Labubu came from, but it became more about how people are sort of toxically consuming the Labubu and clipping them onto their bags and clipping them onto everything. And that has become sort of a trend. Yes. And I do think that's a trend. I do think that clipping the Labubu on the bag and having 90 of them is trendy. I think that that's trendy, but there's something about the design of the Labubu that I think is so special and so cool that I think it's actually timeless. And it's interesting because I was talking about this with my dad and he was like, this happened with the teddy bear, the classic stuffed animal teddy bear. And I was like, what do you mean? And basically the backstory of the teddy bear, I'm going to Google it so I don't butcher it. According to the internet, basically President Theodore Roosevelt was on a hunting trip in Mississippi and encountered a black bear. And Roosevelt's hunting companions cornered the bear for him to shoot, but Roosevelt considered the act unsportsmanlike. And then a political cartoon was created about this sort of situation where he's on this hunting trip and his friends were like, wait, we'll corner this bear for you to shoot. And then he's like, no, I didn't do it myself, whatever. So a cartoon was made about it. And then a New York toy store created a stuffed bear and named it Teddy's Bear after this occurrence. And then it became incredibly popular. And at first, a lot of people thought it was a fad because it was a really popular little toy. And it was like, oh, this is a fad. Everyone's being crazy, freaking out about the teddy bear. Like, this is ridiculous. And now, over 100 years later, we still love the teddy bear. It ended up being a timeless toy. I don't know. Listen, I might be wrong about this. I just think it's a really special little creature, the Labubu, and I really respect the artist who created it because I think it's really special and cute and cool. And I think it's really sad that people are shitting on them. And I do think that the way that people are consuming them is toxic and a fad, but I think the design itself is really cool and timeless and unique because it was created from an artist's heart and vision and mind. And it's truly, it's very unique, unlike anything I've ever seen before. And I think there's something timeless about that. I think clipping them onto every single bag and, every belt loop is a little bit trendy, but I think the stuffed animal itself to me is maybe timeless. I don't know. It's so unique. It's so special. Maybe they'll disappear, maybe, but I don't know. I think it's weirdly timeless. I don't know. That's an unpopular opinion I have. Okay, moving on. Next, I think it's okay to lie to get out of something. If somebody invites me to dinner and I don't want to go, I don't feel bad about lying and saying that I'm busy when I'm not, to preserve somebody's feelings. It's very hard to explain like, oh, I just don't feel like going tonight. It's very hard to explain that. There are people in my life who I feel comfortable with saying like, I don't want to go. I'm sorry. No, but there are certain people that I'm not as close with who would potentially get offended if I was like, I'm not in the mood tonight. Sorry. You know, we don't have a close enough relationship for them to not take that personally, right? The people who are closest to me in my life know that I love them, know that I care about them, know that they're a priority. I show that on a daily basis. So if on a particular occasion I'm too tired to go out to dinner, or I don't want to hang out, they're not going to be offended because they know how I feel about them and they're confident in that. However, there are certain people in my life that I'm not that close to that don't get that level of attention from me, don't necessarily know exactly how I feel about them because we're not that close. And so being that honest with them might be upsetting to them because without having a baseline of a very close, intimate relationship, it might get taken wrong. And I know that because, well, I mean, listen, I'm really chill. Like, if somebody doesn't like me, if somebody doesn't want to hang out with me, it's okay. Like, I'm not super sensitive about that because I love hanging out, but a lot of times I'm tired. And if someone cancels, I'm like, fuck yes. Yay. So if somebody says like, can I be honest? I'm too tired. I don't want to hang out. Usually I probably feel the same way and I'm stoked. So like that wouldn't offend me personally, but I don't know. I know a lot of people who are really sensitive about that stuff. Sometimes it just makes more sense to lie. A little white lie. Somebody's like, hey, do you want to like go shopping this weekend? Maybe I don't want to go shopping that weekend. Maybe I don't want to hang out with them that weekend. So I'm going to say, oh, like, I got to work this weekend. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I really don't. To preserve someone's feelings, I think a little white lie like that is no problem. The only thing is you do have to be careful with it. Like you can't say, oh, I can't, I'm going out of town, and then be in town and potentially run into them. You have to be careful and make the lie sort of a half lie, right? Like, oh, I got to work this weekend, I can't. Or like, I usually use working as an excuse. But see, the truth is there are times when I tell people I can't hang out because I have to work on something, and that's true. Or I might say like, oh, I already made plans. I already got plans going with somebody else. And maybe that isn't true, but like, there's no way they'll ever find out if I had plans, like whatever. Does it feel a little icky? Maybe. I don't like lying. I don't. But like, there are certain occasions where I feel like it makes sense in this sort of situation. You don't want to hang out, whatever. And I think it's actually fine. I don't care if somebody lies to me to get out of hanging out with me. If they don't feel comfortable being completely honest with me yet and saying like, you know what? I'm not in the mood. Sorry, I'm just not in the mood. That's okay. They can lie to me. I'm fully okay with being lied to. Unless it's someone who I'm super close to the point where like it would be weird if they lied to me. But again, those relationships are so close and so intimate, and it's such like a 360 relationship that like they can't lie to me. Like I would find out. Like it's, you know what I mean? And they don't think that they need to, and vice versa. That's very different. But like if it's somebody I've met twice and they lie to me about being busy and not being able to go to dinner, I'll never find out and I don't care. If they don't want to go or they can't go, that's fine. And if they feel more comfortable being like, oh, I got other plans, or oh, I'm like working or whatever, fine. That's fine. I think it's fine. I mean, again, is lying great? No, but like it's fine. Okay, moving on. I think swimming in a pool is boring. I think it's boring. There are occasions where I like dipping in a pool, but they're pretty rare. When it's really hot, like really hot, and I'm laying out and I get so hot that I need to cool off, I'll dip in the pool, but for like 5 minutes, because I'm in there and then I'm like, all right, what now? What now? I will say though, it is nice to be in a pool on like one of those floaty things, like a floaty bed, but that's different. I'm saying swimming in a pool to me is boring. I don't crave swimming in a pool. It's very boring to me. There's nothing to do. There's no movement. And by movement, I mean of the water, right? It's just still. What is there to do there? Swim back when I was little, I liked playing pool games. We were playing Marco Polo. We were playing other games that I forgot the names of because it's been too long. Like the one where you like one person standing facing, I don't even know the rules anymore. Okay. Anyway, there used to be swimming pool games that, we played as kids. That was so fun. Being in a pool back then was really fun. As an adult, those games aren't as fun anymore. Unfortunately, if I ever have kids, when I have kids one day, I'll play those games again and it'll be fun to be in a pool again. But for right now, no kids. I got no reason to be swimming around in a pool. Dipping in a pool to cool off, sure, but like swimming around? No, I'm bored. Being in the ocean, however, is fun. It's fun. There's waves, there's movement, there's little critters in there sometimes, little things swimming around. You know, you can play with the sand. Like I love just sitting on the shore and kind of like playing with the sand for a little bit. Fuck it. Why not? You know, there's little rocks to look at. You can look at rocks. You can find sea glass. I mean, that's not really swimming. That's kind of outside of the water, but you get the idea. Mainly it's the waves. There are waves. There's movement. It's also expansive. So like if you want to get up on a paddleboard, I usually don't want to because I'm usually entertained enough by the waves. But if I wanted to, I could. You can't get on a paddleboard in a pool. You can't go on a kayak in a pool. You're not going to see fish in a pool. There's nothing to jump off of into the pool. I mean, diving boards are pretty much banned. I don't know, like at the beach, there might be like a cliff you can jump off of, or even, you know, at like a swimming hole somewhere, there's a place to jump off, whatever. There's little creatures around. You're in nature, which is just so wonderful. A pool is not nature. Like there's something inherently interesting and grounding about being in nature, whereas I don't feel that way in a pool. But then also there are more interesting elements going on in natural bodies of water. I don't need to be swimming in a pool. However, though, again, on a hot day to dip in a pool is wonderful. And to lay on one of those little pool floating beds can be wonderful. But again, that's not really swimming. So unless there's like a water slide, to me, a pool is pretty boring. But listen, if there is a water slide, that is exciting. And I actually got to experience a water slide this summer. And let me tell you, I had a great time. For about 15 minutes, but it was amazing. I had the best time. But after 15 minutes, I was like, all right, I'm good. But still, that was at least something. I just think pools are boring. Oh my God. And don't even get me started on an indoor pool. What's the point? You can't, like, you're not even a pool with no sunshine. Oh God. No. I just don't get it. Anyway, moving on. I briefly interrupt this episode to let you know that this episode is brought to you by Hotels.com. Okay. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Hotels.com could help you level up your vacation. So if you sign up for free, I might add, you save up to 20% on select hotels. Yep, up to 20%. That's actual real money back in your pocket, which means yes to massages, yes to room service, yes to those little extras that make a trip feel extra special. Head to Hotels.com to book now. Now back to the episode. I don't like blackout curtains. A lot of people really love a blackout curtain. Like, they want to be in their bed at night in the pitch black. And they want to wake up in the morning to pitch black. Now, not everyone likes this, but I know a lot of people who do. And I know, you know, it's a very common thing in hotels and stuff like that because a lot of people really enjoy it. I do not like it. Number one, it scares me a little bit. It's too dark. It's just too dark. I want to be able to see if some shit is going on. You know what I mean? Like, what if something terrible happened? Somebody broke into my room. Somebody broke into my house, you know? I want to be able to see a little bit. That's number one. Number two, there's something very claustrophobic about blackout curtains. Like, I feel stuck. The window doesn't need to be open, but when you can see out the window, it just feels more airy, more spacious, less claustrophobic. But most importantly, in the morning, I need sunlight to wake me up. If I don't have light shining through my window in the morning, I will not wake up. I'm somebody who definitely has a tendency to sleep through alarms. I mean, I'm a pretty heavy sleeper. I will wake up eventually, but like, I don't know, I can sleep through a lot. So the sunlight really helps me. An alarm itself is not enough. I need sunlight as well. Like if I have to wake up really early for a flight or for like some sort of work thing, I get nervous every single time that I'm not going to wake up. And sometimes I even have my mom call me like 50 times until I wake up because sometimes I just can't. Yeah, I just don't like it. Some people like to sleep feeling like they're very cozy and like a, you know, cocoon almost. I don't feel that way. I want, you know, I want my door open. I want the windows open. I want openness. I want a little bit of light. I want to be able to get up in the middle of the night to go pee and not have to turn on a light. I want there to be enough just natural moonlight for that. You know, I'll even keep a light on downstairs sometimes if I'm feeling like it's too dark. I just don't like it to be too dark. Next, I prefer a regular call, classic, over a FaceTime call. I don't, FaceTime to me, it's fun if somebody's showing me something, but even then it's like, text me a photo, because FaceTime is not always the most clear. It's very rare that both people on both ends have good connection. So it's usually not that clear. I can't even see that well. I'd rather just be texted a photo or a video while talking on the phone. Also, you can't really multitask very well when you're FaceTiming. I get so much done on a phone call. I'll put my AirPods in, put my phone in my bag, in a little crossbody bag, and be washing the dishes, or not washing the dishes, but rinsing the dishes, putting them in the dishwasher, feeding the cats, cooking, putting clothes away. Like, I can get so much done on a phone call if I'm not on FaceTime. When I'm on FaceTime, it's taking all five senses. I'm holding the phone, I'm looking, I'm listening. What are all this? I'm touching the phone. I don't know. Whatever. You get, like, I'm using all my senses. It really is like a lot. I also don't like thinking about what I look like on the phone camera. Like, in person, I don't know, it's very natural to just be present with somebody. But on the phone, thinking about how I look through the camera, like, that's an element that kind of distracts me from the conversation. What I like so much about a phone call is that I can take a phone call and look however bad I want, be doing whatever I want, can have whatever lighting I want. I can put my, like, it's so simple to just talk on the phone, the classic phone. The simplicity is what I think makes a phone call such a special form of communication. The fact that it is just your voice. There's something very romantic about that. There's something very simple about that. There's something very enjoyable about it at times. I'd rather see someone's face in real life than through the screen. I'd rather enjoy the phone call for what it is and then see somebody in person. I don't know. I'm just not into the FaceTime right now. I'm just not. But there have been times in my life where I preferred FaceTime, if I remember correctly. I feel like when I was a teenager, I preferred FaceTime, but now I don't. And that's where I stand. Okay, next. I think a lot of people dream of being an A-list celebrity. Like, I feel like that's maybe less now, to be honest, because I feel like the reality of being a celebrity, I think, is much more understood these days, now more than ever, because of the internet. And I think less people actually dream of being an A-list celebrity. And when I say A-list celebrity, I'm talking about Taylor Swift. I'm talking about Beyonce. I'm talking about the Kardashians. I'm talking about, you get the idea. Mainstream, household name. Every single person on the planet, for the most part, knows who these people are, right? I think that's less desirable for people nowadays because I think the realities have been exposed of what it's like, which, I mean, I think there's a lot of it that is wonderful, very fruitful. But I think the downsides of it are more understood now than ever. And so I see more people saying on the internet, for example, like, ooh, I wouldn't want this celebrity's life. Like, this seems like a nightmare. However, I do still think that that's an unpopular opinion. I think most people would love to be an A-list celebrity. My unpopular opinion is that I wouldn't. Like, being a mainstream A-list celebrity to me is not desirable in the slightest at all. I have no interest in being that famous. It just, to me, it's a nightmare. The things that bring me the most joy in my life would be so much more challenging if I was in that position. Like, for example, I love going to the grocery store and shopping around, walking through the aisles. It's so peaceful for me. It's so wonderful. Taylor Swift cannot go to the grocery store unless she's in full prosthetics. She would get completely mobbed, by fans, by paparazzi, who knows, whatever. That is not something she can do, from what I understand. And if she does do it, it's probably not very relaxing. For me, it's very relaxing. I mean, I am still a public figure. People come up to me and say, oh my God, hi, at the grocery store. But like maybe two people. Like, if you're Taylor Swift, it's everyone. Two people is awesome and wonderful and delightful. Like 30 people? No. I mean, that would be, again, it's amazing, but like, that's a lot. You can't, at that point, you can't really grocery shop. Do you know what I'm saying? It's also very scary being that famous, from a security perspective, when that many people are a fan of you, there's a lot of people who are really a fan of you to the point where they might do things that are a little bit unsafe or weird. That is also a nightmare for me. Having to live a life that is so much security involved. Like you can't do anything without having security with you to protect you. That sucks. That doesn't sound fun to me. Never being able to do anything without being surveillanced sucks. I experienced a little teeny sliver of that where sometimes people will film me without me knowing or whatever and stuff. It doesn't happen that much. It happens sometimes. But there are 85% of my life, not even 95% of my life, I would say, is done without being filmed. I can go to the grocery store without being filmed. I can go eat at a restaurant without being filmed. There's so many things I can do where I'm not being necessarily surveillanced. It happens occasionally, but imagine every time you go eat at a restaurant, you're being filmed. People are taking photos of you. Ugh, that's very anxiety inducing. What if I'm itching my nose and somebody takes a picture and is like, look, picking her nose at dinner, whatever. Or I like to go to dinner and talk shit a little bit sometimes with my friends. How scary would it be to be at a restaurant and have somebody filming you and filming your mouth moving, and then it gets posted on TikTok, and then everybody's tagging the person who knows how to read lips or whatever, and then now everybody knows what you're talking about. That's my fucking nightmare. That is actually my nightmare. Because when you're that famous, it's very hard to have privacy, and I think humans need an element of privacy to stay mentally healthy, And I don't know, I think I'm able to I am a public figure, but I'm able to balance my privacy and whatever. I can still do normal stuff. You know what I mean? Being an A-list celebrity, you cannot do normal stuff. And normal stuff is so wonderful. Something as simple as going to the grocery store or taking the subway in New York or eating out at a restaurant, eating out on the street with a bunch of people walking by. All of these things are things that A-list celebrities can't do. And listen, there's a lot of things that A-list celebrities can do that most other people can't do. They can go rent a private island for the weekend. You know what I mean? But can I be honest? That's not a fun vacation for me. I don't want to be alone on a private island. I actually don't. I love a vacation where I'm experiencing people. I like going to places where, I don't know, I can sit at a cafe and people watch. I can shop around and do things, be out in the community of where I'm visiting. I enjoy that element. So I don't know. It just, to me, it's not a lifestyle that I crave, that I envy. And I don't know. I think that's an unpopular opinion. Maybe it's not these days. Maybe everybody has kind of come to that same consensus, but yeah, it's my nightmare. Okay, next. I think drinking alcohol is a bit too normalized. And I came to this conclusion after quitting alcohol. I quit almost a year ago now because I still don't know for sure, I developed an intolerance. I started getting really sick after drinking one glass of wine, which was weird. So I ultimately decided to quit. And I still don't really know why it started to make me feel sick, but it doesn't really matter because it was making me feel sick. So I just quit. And it hasn't been that challenging, to be honest. There are some things about it that I miss. I do enjoy the flavor of wine. I like the way that it tastes with food. I love the way that alcohol can bring people together, to be honest. I'm in my mid-20s, almost mid-20s. Ooh, I'm 24 still. Early 20s. I can still say that maybe. I'm in my early 20s. We'll say early until I turn 25. No, I'm really kind of in my mid-20s. I'm in my mid-20s, and a lot of social events revolve around alcohol. And I do enjoy being social at times. And so I appreciate that alcohol brings people together, but it's also when you don't drink, you can still participate, but it is kind of a bummer, not to be able to participate. But now that it's been almost a year of not drinking, I've really reflected on the culture around alcohol a lot because I've been faced with it in a new way for the past year. And I've discovered some interesting things about it. The more I learn about alcohol, the more I realize how really bad for you it is. we all know it's not good for us, but alcohol's really bad. Like, there used to be this sort of idea, like, everything in moderation. But I'm starting to see things that are like, alcohol, even in moderation, is honestly not good. Like, everything in moderation is fine, but like, it's bad for you, period, end of story. You can still enjoy it. You're not going to die, but like, it's pretty bad for you. And there's kind of no, like, there's no wiggle around. You know what I mean? And I mean, that's probably still up for debate. Science is always kind of up for debate, I guess. But I've just seen more articles like that coming out. And then I also, on a personal level, have just experienced such a difference in how I feel. Like, I just feel better, healthier, sharper in my brain, less inflamed in general. I just feel physically so much better not drinking. My social skills have improved because I don't have a crutch, you know? There are still moments where I feel kind of awkward or out of place because I'm not drinking, but like, I'm continuing to get even better at managing that. Like, I've had all these realizations, and it's led me to the conclusion that I do think alcohol is too normalized, considering how prominent and normal it is to like order a drink every time you're at dinner. Every time you go out to dinner, order a drink. How normal it is to have a glass of wine every night. How normal it is to get drunk with your friends every weekend. I'm not saying that this is like morally wrong, okay? It's fun. And yeah, it's like maybe not healthy for you, but there's a lot of shit that we do that isn't healthy for us that we're going to do anyway because it's fucking fun. I get it. But it's so normalized and it's so ingrained in our routines as human beings that we almost never question it or critically think about it. Like, I didn't, because I enjoyed it and I was having fun and it was what everybody else was doing. But now that I'm not doing it because I was forced to not do it, I'm like, wait, I feel so much better. My social skills are improving. I still have fun. I can still go out and dance and enjoy myself, you know, which I don't do that often, but like, I still can do that. It's not like I can't do that without alcohol. And it's actually bizarre how many things revolve around the consumption of alcohol. It's just bizarre to me now that I don't participate in it, I guess. But again, I'm not saying it's wrong. I just think it's a little bit too normalized, in my opinion. I think alcohol consumption should be not like more frowned upon. That's not the right term, but maybe like considering how bad for you it really is and how addicting it can be, like considering and how dangerous it can be, like considering all of that, it's really weird how normalized it is. I'm not saying that we shouldn't enjoy alcohol if we want to. Like, it's so complicated and but I think it's maybe a little bit too normalized and a little bit too ingrained in our routine as social animals, you know? But this is just how I feel. I don't know. Like, I feel like cigarettes are a great example of something that people participate in smoking cigarettes, right? But there's this very like deep understanding among human beings that cigarettes are bad. People still smoke cigarettes. Listen, I vaped for many years. I haven't vaped in a while, but I'm still consuming nicotine in one way or another, but not through the little nicotine pouches. You know what I'm talking about? Whatever. I'm not inhaling anything these days, which is good. Good for me. But I've been at this point before and then gone back to the vape. But anyway, we all know how bad cigarettes are. People still smoke them, but we all know there's like a collective understanding that cigarettes are really, really bad for you, right? We all are very, very, very aware of how bad cigarettes are for you. Alcohol is also very bad for you. And in some ways, short term can be even more dangerous. People do very dumb things under the influence. That's arguably, no one's doing dumb things under the influence of a cigarette. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, long-term cigarettes are very bad for you and very dangerous, but short-term, they're actually safer than alcohol. People get themselves into situations, very, very bad situations that fuck their life up forever or end their life from drinking alcohol because it's so easy to take it too far. And yet, alcohol is just not taken as seriously, I feel like. I don't know. That's at least been my experience in my life, is that we know the dangers of getting too drunk and doing bad things and stuff. Yes, but like, alcohol is still such a normal part of our routines as social animals. I don't know. I just think it's too normalized. Cigarettes feel a little bit less normalized and a little bit more like scrutinized. And I think that's good. Like if something's bad for you, it's like maybe I'm just speaking from personal experience and you might disagree, but that's how I feel. Okay, moving on. Next, I feel like having pets. Okay, I have 2 cats. I feel like having pets causes me more anxiety than it does relieve my anxiety. A lot of people find that having pets brings them peace, helps relieve their anxiety. The presence of having little critters around is very peaceful. And listen, I agree. When I'm laying in bed at night and I have my 2 kitties on the bed with me, I feel safe. Much safer than I would feel if I didn't have 2 kitties laying on the bed with me. However, even though their presence brings me a lot of peace and I absolutely adore them and I don't regret adopting them for even a second, the amount of anxiety I have about something bad happening to them almost out anxieties the anxiety relief that they give me. Does that make sense? Like, yeah, they might relieve my anxiety a little bit, but my anxiety about something bad happening to them is it's more severe than what they're relieving from me. Does that make sense? It's a net negative anxiety-wise for me because if one of them gets out, I live somewhere where there's coyotes. They're fucked. My cats are fucked. They would not, I don't even think they'd last 24 hours. They would get eaten. That is my biggest fear. I have so much anxiety about my cats getting out. I almost don't even invite people over to my house because I don't want someone to leave a door open, which people do all the time, and then a cat get out. In fact, when people come over to my house, I will put my cats in a separate room that I know that I won't be going into with, whoever is coming over to hang out. Let's say, someone's coming over to have dinner. I will put the cats in a particular room, lock the door, set them up, of course, they have their litter box, they have their food, they have their water, they have their little beds, they have an entire room to themselves. I'll shut the door and I'll lock it. And that door's not getting open because I don't trust people to not leave a door open. Somebody will be like, oh my God, it's so nice out tonight. Open the door. Cats are out. And then 20 minutes later, eaten by a coyote. That gives me so much fucking anxiety. These are my little sweet baby angels that I love so much. The thought of them getting hit by a car, getting eaten by a coyote, I can't fucking handle it. Okay. And I can't talk to them. Like with a kid, I mean, it's very different to have a pet and have a kid, but like, with a kid, eventually, you can talk to them at least. I mean, listen, I can't even imagine how much anxiety I'm going to have when I have a kid. So I'm like trying to convince myself that I'm not going to be the same way, but I probably will be. But like, I can't talk to these cats. I can't be like, hey, you can't go outside. You're going to get eaten by a coyote. Okay. Can't say that. If they get out, I can't be like, hey, come back here. They won't listen to me. They might. Cause I mean, we are close like that, but like, I don't know, when an animal has been inside its entire life, which is kind of sad that they've been inside their entire lives. But I have plants in here, whatever. Sometimes like a bug will get in here and they get to chase it. So they're fine. Me, like now I'm having an existential crisis about domesticated animals. Oh, sorry you've been stuck in here all this time. But they seem happy and everyone else is doing it. So it's totally fine. No, but when a cat that's been inside its entire life, again, moral dilemma I'm having suddenly, goes outside for like the first time ever, it gets freaked out. It gets excited. It gets weirded out. Weird things happen. And it just starts like running, In fact, funny story. One time Declan did get out when I was living in an apartment in a very like city part of Los Angeles. And this was when I was out of town and had a cat sitter. The cat sitter let the cat out on accident. Literally nightmare fuel, but I didn't find out about it until Declan was captured and safely returned home. What basically happened was Declan got out and was roaming the streets, okay, for 8 hours. And when the cat sitter got back, I think Declan was like sitting by my apartment elevator. He had found his way back and was just sitting by the elevator, which is kind of amazing. He kind of ate that shit up. He did a great job. He took his one day out very responsibly. Okay. He could have gotten into some shit. I was right by a very busy main road. Okay. And a cat who doesn't have his wits about him might run into traffic. Not Declan. No. He maybe climbed a tree or two and then like tried to go back home. So good for him. I trust him somewhat, but the neighborhood I live in now, he is prey. He's prey. He's low on the food chain. Not the lowest, but he's lower than I wish he was, So Yeah. Like I actually kind of dream of like there's something about the idea of not having cats and like being able to invite people over and open all the doors and all the windows and all this and not have to worry about them getting out. Like I don't even like opening windows in my house, to be honest, because I'm so afraid of them, ripping the screen and getting out. Sucks. But sometimes I just want to crack a fucking window. I do it when I'm there to watch the window. Like they're not gonna, I'd see if they were trying to get out. But there's something nice about the summertime, cracking a bunch of windows, letting the breeze come in throughout the house. And I don't feel comfortable doing that because I'm too scared. Moving on. Taking a bath is not relaxing. Okay. There's a few reasons why. Number one, really hard to get the temperature right. Usually too hot or too cold. Now, we usually end up, and I mean we just by, I think people in general, we usually tend to make the bath too hot knowing it's going to cool down. Well, getting into the bath when it's too hot is ultimately uncomfortable. And very quickly, sweating begins. Now, obviously, you're in water, so sweating isn't that bad, but you're still sweating and it's still kind of uncomfortable. I don't like being overly hot, which makes no sense because I like doing hot yoga. But that's different because I know that there's an end to it. And I also know that I'm putting myself through an uncomfortable situation because at the end I know I'll feel good. But I don't feel good at the end of a hot bath. I just feel overheated. There's something about hot yoga that like at the end of it, I like feel good after. I like get in the shower, I take a, room temp sort of shower and I don't know, I cool off, whatever. But like there's something about a hot bath that I feel like it just like penetrates deep inside to every last cell. And after I get out of a hot bath, I like cannot cool down and it's very uncomfortable. So the temperature situation is really tough for me. I feel overheated. And then when it cools down, I'm still kind of overheated. But the next thing I know, it's too cold, but I'm still kind of overheated. It's like, what's happening? It just doesn't feel good to me. It also is physically uncomfortable unless you have some sort of like, I don't know, like rubber chair insert in your bath. You're slipping and sliding around. It's uncomfortable. When I'm in the bath, I'm like, do I want to sit straight up? I guess that's my only option because if I try to lay down, I'm like, slipping into the water. I have no leverage. I'm like, can't get comfortable in the bath. But also, it's really hard to do things in the bath. Like a lot of times when we're in the bath, we want to do stuff. We want to set up the iPad with a little YouTube video, something toxic we found on our Explore page. That's what we want. We want to watch, I don't know, what are you guys watching? Love Island? You want to watch Love Island in the bath. Well, your hands are all wet and you're trying to like touch the screen and then like it pauses on accident or it buffers and you like want to refresh or like check your Wi-Fi, but your hand's wet again. You have to dry it again. It's like, or you want a snack or something, but then it's like you have to have your arms out of the water the whole time because you're trying to eat your snack, but like you don't want to get your arms wet because if your arms get wet, then you won't be able to then you're getting your bath water into your snack. It's like, it's just not relaxing. And then the worst part of all is that at the end of it, I don't feel clean. I don't. I still feel kind of dirty. And so I inevitably need to rinse off in the shower anyway. What I'd rather do is just take the shower. Maybe I even take an everything shower, shave, wash the hair, get out, really, lube up the face and body, do the whole damn thing, feel super soft and like oily in a good way, whatever, super clean, the best feeling in the world, and then get into bed. That's what I'd rather do. Fuck it. Get in bed with a little snack. Get in bed with the iPad set up, with the TV on. I have a TV in my room and I still like to watch things on my iPad sometimes. Actually, most times. When I first moved into my house, I was like, no TV in the bedroom. And then at a certain point, I was like, fuck it. It's kind of fun, But when I'm alone, I never watch my TV in my room, ever. I watch stuff on my iPad. However, if there's a boy there, then I'm turning on the TV. It's like if you you know what I'm saying? There's something about like with, you're with Bae, you're laying down, you're turning on the TV. Like you can't watch something on an iPad with Bae. It's too clunky and tough. It's like you're trying to set it up in between you both. It just doesn't work. It's nice to have the TV on. But when I'm alone, the TV almost is like too big and scary. Like there's something really comforting and almost nostalgic about just watching something on the iPad or on my laptop because that's what I did my entire life, honestly. I've watched YouTube on my iPad since I was like, 10? Yeah. Like that's been the routine. There's something so intimate about watching it on a small screen. So when I'm alone, I prefer that. But I'd so much rather do that, have like a relaxing little night after a delicious shower instead of trying to do all this shit in the bath. Nah. All right, moving on. I think that this unpopular opinion comes because I don't drink anymore. So I feel this way now more than ever, but I've kind of always felt this way. The best part about going out, 95% of the time, is the people watching. It's not the getting ready by myself, stressing out about my outfit. I do enjoy that though. That can be really fun if I know what I want to wear. Okay. If not, it can be a little bit stressful. I do like doing my makeup though. That is enjoyable, but that's not the best part. The drive there can be fun, listening to music and stuff. That can be fun. But I don't know that that's the best part either. I love the people watching. Okay. But the drive there is kind of a close second. The drive there is so fun. To be singing with your friends in the car. Holy shit. What's better? But I love the people watching. I like people watching better than I like dancing on the dance floor. I like people watching better than I like talking to people even sometimes. I love watching people. I love looking at what they're wearing. I love watching somebody flirt with somebody else. I love, watching somebody like talk to somebody and then turn around and roll their eyes at the person about the person that they were just talking to. Like, how fun. Now, I will say, do I do that the whole fucking night? Like sit in the corner and people watch? No. I get little brief moments of that throughout a night of going out, A little 5 minutes here, a little 5 minutes there. Sandwiched in between the dancing and the chatting. But it's so nice sometimes to sit in the corner with a friend or two and be like, ooh, look at that. Oh, that's a cute outfit. Oh, interesting choice with the boots. Like, oh, they're definitely fighting. Oh, they're definitely flirting. Like, I love that. Oh, I love it. I love it. But it's a little bit weird to do, Like, you have to be pretty tactful about it because otherwise it's like, what are these freaks doing sitting in the corner, like staring at everyone talking? And you don't want to do it for too long because then it gets even weirder. But the little brief 5-minute chunks of time where I get to people watch, I love. Even better if I get to eavesdrop on a conversation. No, but I try not to do that because I wouldn't want somebody to do that to me. But sometimes they're talking really loud and really close to me, so I can't help it. I said this unpopular opinion, and now I'm kind of feeling like, is it really the best part about going out? Maybe it's not the best. I really do think there's like nice parts about every little thing. And then there's also bad parts about every little thing. Like getting ready can be fun, but stressful. The drive there can be fun, but stressful. The chatting it up can be fun, but stressful. I don't know. Everything about it can be fun, but stressful. But there is something really magical about the people watching. And I think perhaps it's an underrated joy of going out, getting to analyze people and see what the fuck they're doing. Because I also think too that like, when I used to go out, right, I used to drink. I used to flirt with boys sometimes. Not very well. I shouldn't even say I would flirt with boys. I would wait around until they'd flirt with me. And then they wouldn't. And then I'd be like, what? Crazy night for me. Nothing happened. So weird. But like, there was like a goal. I was going out to get buzzed and like get loose and shoot the shit, right? Dance, be silly, whatever. I still go out to do that, but it's different when you don't drink. There's like, you don't have as much excitement around like, ooh, I'm like trying to get kind of buzzed. I'm trying to get drunk or whatever and hit a certain level to the point where like everything becomes fun. When you're sober, you still can have a lot of fun, but it's never the same. It's not the same. Also, when I was very much single, it's just like a different vibe. And in phases of my life where I've been single, it's just a very different vibe. Nowadays, going out, it's like, I don't really have any goal, right? I'm not trying to get drunk. I'm not trying to like meet a cute boy. I'm not necessarily even trying to make new friends. Like when I go out, love to chat with new people. It's very fun. That's part of the fun of it. But I'm not necessarily looking for new friends. I'm very satisfied with who I'm friends with. So if a new friend comes my way, wonderful, but I'm not searching for it. Whereas when I've been single, it's been like, I'm not like chasing, but like I'm stoked. Like it's fun to like see a cute boy and get excited. You know what I mean? I don't know. So now like the people watching element has become one of my favorite parts because there's not a lot else to do, And I like dancing too, but if the music isn't working for me, then it's not fun. And the music works for me probably 40% of the time, to be honest. Maybe 50% of the time. Let's say that. Let's be generous. So I don't know. That's why that's creeped up to one of the top spots for me. Okay, next. Dresses are uncomfortable to me. A lot of people are like, OMG, I love a dress. It's so easy. It's so simple. You pop it on, it's super comfortable. And then, you just have like an outfit that's just already ready to go. Like a sundress, or I'm talking about casual dresses. Okay. I'm not talking about like a gown. I'm talking about a sundress, just a casual dress. There's something about a dress that's so uncomfortable for me. I don't know why. I've never liked the way it feels on my body. I'm very sensitive and sensorial. Is that a word? I don't know. I'm very particular about how my clothes fit, how they feel on my body. I've always been that way. I'm very particular. And listen, if I'm going to a fashion show, if I'm going to an event and I want to get really dolled up, I will push through the pain and wear uncomfortable clothing. But on a day-to-day basis, I'm not going to do that. Like, comfort is a huge priority for me. And I'm very, very particular. Like, if there's a tag in the back of my shirt, I freak out. If I don't freak out, but like I cannot, I have to remove it. You know what I mean? Like, if I leave the house and I notice that there's a tag in the back of my shirt and it's itching my neck, I will literally go to the bathroom. I've done this. I will literally go to the bathroom in wherever establishment I've ended up. Let's say I'm at a restaurant, go in the bathroom, take my shirt off, get my little Swiss Army knife out of my purse, and it's attached to my car keys, and I will cut the tag off. I'll seam rip it, I can't handle it. I'm very particular about how my socks feel on my feet. I'm very particular about how my underwear feels. Like if my underwear is too tight or too low-waisted, can't handle it. If pants are too tight or too loose in the wrong areas, and it feels a certain way, I can't handle it. Certain fabrics, the way it feels on my skin, I can't handle it. I think it's pretty normal. But I will say, people in my life have told me yes, you are very particular about these things more than the average. And so I am. There's something about casual dresses, just the silhouette of a dress. I don't like the way it feels for some reason. I like the way pants feel on my waist. Does that make sense? Like, I like feeling the waistband on my waist. There's something about it that's very comfortable to me. And so when I'm wearing a dress and there's no waistband, it just feels, I feel naked or something. I can't put a finger on it, but the sensation of it is very uncomfortable to me. I will say though, if I were to wear let's say a pair of shorts, like a full-on pair of yoga shorts under a dress, that might be comfortable, but it's also just a lot of fabric. I don't know. I do not own at this point, since I've scaled down my closet 90%, which I did a long time ago, but I've continued to scale it down. I don't think I own one dress. I'm not kidding. I don't think I own one dress. I own skirts. I love a skirt, but I don't own a dress because I don't like the way it feels. I will wear a dress to an event. I'll wear a dress for an evening and it's fine. We make do. But on top of that, I just don't even like how 90% of dresses, casual dresses, look, to be honest. It's very rare that I see a dress where I'm like, ooh, I like that one. Very rare. It happens, but it's just not my style, really. So I just don't like dresses, I guess. But I do love wearing a gown, though. Of course. Like a gown? Sure. But a casual dress, like a sundress? Fuck that. Nah. Next. Okay, these last few unpopular opinions are all about food. So consider this the food speed round, if you will. To start the food speed round, I prefer eating a salad or bowl, like some sort of, like sweet green or kava or whatever, with a spoon. Yeah, with a spoon. It's so much better. I can really figure out what I want to get in my bite with a spoon, and I can really scoop it up and I can really get it into my mouth in a way that I just can't with a fork. With a fork, shit's falling off, shit's breaking in half. It just doesn't work as well. I think eating a salad or a bowl makes sense with a spoon. When I see somebody eating a Chipotle bowl with a fork, it makes me shudder. But there have been times where, I don't know, I've been at Chipotle and I have just quickly grabbed a fork instead of a spoon. And then I realized later, fuck, I don't go to Chipotle that often, but on the rare occasion where it makes sense, I don't want to eat my Chipotle bowl with a fork. I'm like, shit's falling off of no, a spoon is the move. It's so funny. At one of the restaurants that I eat at quite a bit in Los Angeles, there's a chopped salad. and it's chopped like pretty finely. And I remember for so long I was eating that salad with a fork. And it was so frustrating. Like, I love the salad so much that I want to get like a big bite of it, because it's such a good salad, which I know sounds kind of like, what? But it's a really delicious salad. And it's so satisfying. And like, I would want to take a big bite and I'd get like a big scoop on my fork. And then by the time I'd get to my mouth, all of it had fallen off. And then I realized, oh wait, I need to eat this shit with a spoon. And oh my God, it's so good. You can get that full bite that you fucking want, and you can get every little thing. If you're like eating a bowl, you're like, I want a little bit of the quinoa, and I want a little bit of the potato, and I want a little bit of the cilantro, and what kind of bowl is this? These are the most random ingredients. Anyway, and I want a little bit of the cherry tomato, and I want a little bit of the feta cheese. Like, you can go around and you can get a little bit of everything and pop it into your mouth. With a fork, you're fighting to get what you want. We shouldn't be fighting for what we want. I mean, sometimes we have to, but when you're eating a salad or a bowl, you don't have to. Just eat it with a fucking spoon. Okay, moving on. Maple donut is the best donut, hands down. I'll eat a glazed donut. Okay, you know what? No, I'll eat any donut. It's a donut. It's a donut. There is not a donut I don't like. If you put a donut in front of me, I'm having a bite, okay? That's obvious, and I'm going to enjoy the bite as well. Fuck it, I might eat the whole thing. I might get a stomachache from it because donuts do not sit right with me at all. But to me, a maple donut's the best. Like, if I'm going to a donut shop and I'm faced with 50 donut flavors, there's a really good chance I'm choosing a maple donut. Yeah, it's the best, I think. Which I think a lot of people like maple donuts, but it's kind of more of a polarizing flavor. Next, the best salad green. Okay, people talk about romaine lettuce. People talk about arugula. People talk about iceberg lettuce, which... no, thank you. That's not a good lettuce to me. There's spinach, right? Kale is the best. Hands down, kale is the best. When it's prepared properly, and that's a key, I will say, that's very important. When it's prepared properly, it is the best salad green. It must be massaged, though. If kale is not massaged, it is not good. It needs to be either massaged or cut very thinly. Otherwise, it's too tough. And the stems need to be properly removed. Otherwise, you get crunchy, gross stems in there that are like really hard to chew. When kale is prepared properly, it is so delicious. It has my favorite texture. It's like crunchy and fresh, but like hearty. It doesn't wilt very easily, which I hate wilted greens, like really hate it. I really don't like it. It really grosses me out. It's like slimy and gross. Kale doesn't get slimy. It doesn't get gross. It's like always crisp. It's always hearty. It's always hard. I like the flavor of it. It has kind of like a bitterness to it that complements things so well. One of my favorite salads of all time is from Erewhon. Whoops. Kale, white bean, avocado salad with a gorgeous little vinaigrette on it, little hemp seeds, a little pumpkin seeds. I don't know. There's other shit on it too. But that salad is so good. The little bitterness of the kale with the creaminess of the avocado and the creaminess of the bean and the bright, like acidic little vinaigrette. Like, the kale adds something. Romaine lettuce doesn't add something to me. Listen, do I love a Caesar salad? Fuck yeah, I love a Caesar salad. I do, and that's the best with romaine. It's true. But I can't taste the romaine lettuce when I'm eating a Caesar salad. I taste, hopefully, a fuck ton of Parmesan cheese. In creamy, like yummy, Dijon-y, umami Caesar dressing. I don't taste romaine lettuce. It doesn't taste like anything. Kale has a nice taste. I don't know. I like kale. I think it's the best. Okay, next. Savory breakfast is better than sweet breakfast. I would rather have an egg sandwich over pancakes. I would rather have an omelet over French toast. I would rather have a bagel with cream cheese over oatmeal. Well, that's kind of obvious because a bagel with cream cheese is just like so much more delicious than oatmeal. I like oatmeal though, but what's a good equivalent? Like, I'd rather have maybe the omelet to oatmeal is more of an equivalent. But yeah, I don't know. Sweet breakfast, it's not as appealing to me, but I think in general, I prefer salty foods over sweet foods. I almost have a salty tooth. People always talk about a sweet tooth. I have a salty tooth. I love a French fry. I love a tater tot. I love a chip. Oh my God, I love a chip. I love salty stuff. I love salty foods that are fried. Things with a lot of salt I like. I love sweet stuff too, but like I really crave salty foods more than I do sweet foods. So it makes sense that I prefer savory breakfast over sweet. However, again, if I were to get brunch with friends, I might order a savory breakfast, but if there is a French toast on the table, I will be eating it. Like, it's not like I don't like it ever. I just think there's something about things that are too sweet that oftentimes make me feel like shit as well. Like I just end up feeling kind of sick, or I don't know, for whatever reason. Whereas I can eat so much salt and feel amazing. I can eat something very fried and I will not feel good, but I can tolerate it. Eating something too sweet, I'll feel sick. Like that makes me feel more sick. Maybe that's what it comes down to. Anyway, and last but not least, cereal is a terrible breakfast food. It is a terrible breakfast food. It rarely has any protein in it. It's not filling at all. Like having a bowl of cereal for breakfast no, I can't do that. That does nothing for me. It does absolutely nothing for me. Now listen, there are protein cereals out there that are much more filling and more well-rounded, and I love those and I buy those. But even then, not a good breakfast for me. If I'm going to eat breakfast, I want to have like breakfast, okay? I want like an avocado toast with an egg. I want an omelet. I want something warm and exciting. Cereal for breakfast it's just not a good breakfast food. It's not filling enough. It's not satisfying enough. And I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me. However, cereal is the perfect late night snack. It's perfect. I had dinner a little too early. I'm hungry. It's 11 p.m. I'm hungry. Cereal is the perfect snack that settles your stomach, is fun to eat, but isn't so filling that you're like, ugh, you lay down afterwards and you're in pain. It's like light, but I don't know, it does the trick once you've already had your dinner. Does that make sense? Like it's not a good way to start your day. It's a great way to end your day. Cereal's like a great dessert almost. And that's that. Okay, those are all of my unpopular opinions. I'll probably have a few more in a few months, so I'll get back to you on those. The list is ever growing. This is not a definitive list. I will be back when I have more to share with you. Let me know some of your unpopular opinions at Anything Goes on Instagram. Okay, comment on one of the posts and say what your unpopular opinion is. Okay, when this episode comes out, there's going to be posts about this episode, and I want you to comment on those and say what your unpopular opinions are, because I'm very curious and I love reading those comments. If you enjoyed this episode, you can hang out every Thursday and Sunday with me anywhere you stream podcasts. Although if you want to watch video, that is on YouTube and Spotify. I am on the internet everywhere except for like TikTok and a bunch of other places, actually. I'm available in some places at Emma Chamberlain. My coffee company is available on the internet and in the world at Chamberlain Coffee. And that's where I am. And you can come and find me if you want to. I really appreciate you listening to this episode and hanging out with me. It's always a pleasure. It's so much fun. We have so much fun together. Oh, we do. And luckily for both of us, we get to talk again in a very short amount of time, in a few days, actually. So I'll talk to you then. I love you all. I appreciate you all. And talk soon. Okay, bye.